It's Marcus Washington, MTC Media. One of the things you have to give a lot of credit to for Dan Quinn in Washington is early on how they bring along Jayden Daniels. Yesterday it was a preseason game 2. We're going to push them. We're going to run high tempo. We're going to have a lot of pace. All these things. There was a lot of passing in there, a lot of reads, a lot of different type of passes. And you're sitting here saying they really believe that this rookie can play from day one in what is a standard offense for today's NFL, which is terrific. Now we're seeing the same thing in Chicago. I'm not trying to say this is a unique situation, but for an organization, in this case both organizations, but we're only concentrating on Washington here, for an organization that has missed time and time again on that position, for an organization who, when they thought they had hit on it, they had a quarterback that got injured a lot. For them to have what could end up being top 2, top 3 best quarterback of this draft, for Washington to have that under new ownership, new front office, new coaching staff, is something that this area needs from a football perspective. And I said it in an article I wrote after the first preseason game. This area is starved to love its football team again. And Jayden Daniels is, to me, that opening to loving again, that opening to have an excitement that cities like Los Angeles have with Justin Herbert, where you have this young quarterback that you know that in this league, with how important quarterbacks are, that you can build around. And Washington finally has that. And I do think they can build around it. Now the coaching staff got to do their job. Got to build a defense, which has not looked good in the preseason. There have been gaping holes for everyone to run through, even when at the beginning of the game, when you have people that you know are going to be around. And there are things to fix. But the idea that you can look like that you have a plan that you're building upon that can be a successful plan in this league, and then you look at your division. We don't know what the Cowboys going to have next year, especially with the Dak situation. The Giants are the Giants, and frankly, I'm not one that believes in Daniel Jones. So I think Washington and Philadelphia, we'll see what happens with their head coaching job over the next 2 to 3 years. But Washington might be the team in the division that's on the correct path and on the right path behind Daniels, and how they're bringing Daniels along. Now, the Commanders, when they really want to get this thing live and for show, they're going to have to run the ball better. They're going to that front 4 or that front 7 are going to have to be better. It's the preseason, it's the second game of the preseason. But remember now, week 1 sometimes resembles preseason plus before we get to week 2 and week 3 of the regular season. So everything's not going to fix itself on week 1, but those are things Washington needs to work towards to have a successful year. Now, you might not think that the division is winnable, and that's fine. And on many levels, when you have Philadelphia and Dallas still in it, it's not. But what Washington can look at, because this is the NFL, that if they can get the quarterback position right, they can score points, and they don't turn the ball over, and you're not giving up gobs of yards after first contact, this is a team that can, in the last 3 weeks, be in play for a wild card. That's not far-fetched. It's really not. So this coaching staff has something that people will say is ahead of the curve. I don't know how we're measuring curves these days in the NFL, simply because how the league is designed for the turnover rate to be what it is. But what I do know is Washington is looking more and more and more like it has the correct quarterback. And the coaching staff and how they're bringing along that quarterback looks more and more competent. The question will be, as always, Cliff Kingsbury and what he can do, and whether Cliff Kingsbury, the offensive coordinator in the NFL, is better than Cliff Kingsbury, the head coach in the NFL. And that's going to be a question. But for Washington, for whatever you can take from preseason, these first 2 games in the preseason should give you a nice amount of optimism. It's Marcus Washington, MTC Media.